my fellow Twistlets. Here we are in the basic class where we're going to talk about inflation, tying balloons, holding them, bubbles, loops, and pinch twists. All the basics you need in order to get yourself into balloon twisting. Let's start with inflation. What you need is a pump. Here's a red pump, and these are only if you can't mouth breathe them like you might see me do later on in these video series. But get one of these pumps. They're about $3. Very important if you're just starting balloon twisting. When using one of these pumps, take your nozzle of the balloon between your first finger and thumb and roll it over the tip. Now, make sure you create a good seal around the tip there when you go to inflate. Pull out and push. Now, the air might have a tendency to leak back into the pump, so make sure you do all your pumps simultaneously, one after another. Next, we're going to talk about how to tie a balloon. We want to grab it with our left hand. Now, I'm right-handed, so I like to use my left. So for left-handed people, this is opposite. So take it in your left hand and let the first little bit of air out. That gives you more slack to work with when you're going to tie the knot. Now, take that nozzle, wrap it around the back of your fingers, your first finger and middle finger, cross it over the front of the balloon, and then inside this little gap, go ahead and just push the nozzle through there and then grab it with your first finger and pull out your thumb, and then you can pull out the other two fingers once you've pinched the nozzle again. Now, a couple tips is you never want to pull this because you're going to weaken the walls of the balloon there. If you want to make that knot a bit tighter, you can go ahead and roll that in. However, some techniques might ask you to roll that knot towards the nozzle of the balloon to get a little bit extra space, but that's not until later. Bubbles! Let's talk about how to make a bubble. Now, all a bubble is twisting off a section like that. It's pretty simple how you do that. We just create a little divot where we want to twist, and then twist that section around that section, and make sure you're holding the sides if you're twisting it, alright? If I let go of one side, that side's going to shoot off and untwist. Now, this brings us right into holding. How we hold the balloon is very important, especially for creating multiple bubbles. So I'm going to create my first bubble there, then I'm going to hold the bubble with my ring finger and pinky finger just like that while I create additional bubbles. Now, I usually twist with my hands on top until I get to have multiple bubbles here. This is when I actually bring my hand down underneath and then I start reaching up to pinch to twist off those bubbles. So this way I can twist off multiple bubbles in a section and we don't get congested on top there. Make sure you're always holding that first one, because if you hold the first one, these ones shouldn't come undone if you have the first and last in your hand in your grip. Now if I held on the second, that first one's going to shoot off because there's nothing holding it there. These have a tension against each other, holding them in place so they're not going to go anywhere. That way you can go ahead and wrap them around when you're ready, and then that brings us right around to loops. Let's talk a little bit about loops now. What a loop is simply creating a loop and then twisting it off as such. See, if I was going to create a loop at the beginning of the balloon with the nozzle, I'm going to twist it and then grab it with my first finger there. Now I'm going to take my other hand and twist that around. Now I still am holding that nozzle here, not only the nozzle but also the knot. Now I take that and I'm going to actually loop it through the loop there and pull it through. That way this is tied, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's not going to come untwisted. Next, if we're creating a second loop, we're going to do the same action but holding that first loop and then twist the second one on top of that. Now, very important, if there's too much pressure in this balloon, you might feel like this might blow. So go ahead, give it a tiny little squeeze to kind of make it a little bit more malleable. That way when you go to twist that in, it won't pop on you. Pinch twists. We're going to talk a little bit about one of the hardest moves for beginner. What happens is I'm going to actually create a bubble in the middle of my balloon, and then I'm going to take my middle finger and index finger and straddle that balloon like this, kind of like a T-Rex claw. Now I'm going to straddle it, I'm going to take my thumb, and the goal is to twist this balloon so that this knot and this knot twist together. That happens just by straddling this. I'm going to push my thumb towards it as I twist the whole section. And then we have a pinch twist. A couple things with pinch twists is when you twist off a pinch twist, make sure you pull it slightly, not too much because you don't want to yank this and cause too much tearing on the balloon. We're going to push this directly over to the other side, and I always twist away from my body because I twist my pinch twist with my right hand, not my left hand. So, and that's very important. When you're twisting a bubble, I always start by twisting the bubbles towards myself, just like this. And then when I go to do the pinch twist, I twist them away from myself. But that doesn't cause the pinch twist, to unravel your original bubble. See, if I twist it away from my original bubble, I'll twist away, and then I'll twist this pinch twist there, it can cause the pinch twist to untwist the original bubble, causing a deflate in the middle of your pinch twist there, which is why we don't want that. That's why it's very important to, when you're twisting balloons, always twist in the same direction. So I twist the bubbles towards me and the pinch twists away from me, causing them to never come undone.